Give me one moment. I am trying to get the link for the video to send out. And then I'll send it out. Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. Today I will be cutting lines. Woo, am I right? Fun stuff. I love you, I love you. Thank you. Chrissy, thank you. I love you too. Alrighty. So I think I'm gonna sneeze first. Oh my god. Okay. And then I'm gonna choose some music, and then we'll start cutting lines. So my first plan of not really attack, but for the majority of what I'm going to be doing today, it's pretty much trying to cut the lesser roles, like as in the roles themselves have the roles have less lines that the voice actors have recorded, which that'd mean like any extras like Scratch, Grounder, Coconuts, Chip, and Breezy, because Breezy's not really impactful in this one. She shows up like twice and that's it. Same with Honey, so I might try to do Honey. We're gonna see how it goes. But first I am gonna pick some music. I think to make this kind of a peppy stream, because I didn't have a good day today, I'm gonna try and maybe see if I can play like happy Sonic music or something. Catchy and happy music compilation. Yes, please. There we go. And it's pretty quiet. Oh, this one has lyrics, doesn't it? I try to pick music that doesn't have any lyrics on it, because then YouTube's like, hey. No. Isn't this Blaze's theme? Okay, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit so I don't get distracted. Okay, so I have it pulled up to where it's, where Breezy first entrances, you know, like, shows up. So, I think what I'm gonna do is, because I don't think Scratch, Grounder, and Coconuts show up anymore after this. Except once. Like, Coconuts shows up like a second time, but he doesn't say anything, you know? So, what we're gonna do is we're going to do Coconuts, Scratch, Grounder first. And then we'll do Breezy, and then we'll see if I have enough energy to do other ones. So, first one up to the plate will be Grounder. AKA Drew. Alright, let me make a new folder. G. And Grounder has like 5 lines? 3? Okay. Yeah, it's definitely like from Sonic Rush, isn't it? Okay, hopefully there's not going to be another song with lyrics. If it does, then I'll find some other music to play. But, you know, my channel mainly derives with Sonic's content, so yeah. Fun stuff, am I right? Okay. So Grounder's up to the plate first. Playback volume. I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. So the first line is boss, boss, look what I found. I think it starts at the beginning.
Boss, boss, look what I found. And then I saw.
Okay. Ba-ba-da-boom. Okay. Oop. There we go. Okay. Is there any breaths in here? Just a tad. Maybe a little mic hit. There we go. Okay. I'm not gonna do any amplifying because Shotcut tends to do that with everything I have. It tends to make it louder than I want it to. So in the meantime, we're going to keep things the same volume, but if need be, we'll de-amplify it if the audio is already loud. Oh yeah, also Eggman is like a small role in this episode too. I should have realized that sooner.
Boss, boss, look what I found.
Perfect. Okay, please load. Don't go to the chapter episode 1 TC, please. Don't do that. Okay, so Archie 271, Grounder. I think I always put the name of the character first with the line. It's been a little bit of a while since I've cut lines. It's been almost a month. Oh, poo-poo on you too. Okay. Yeah, so there we go. First line's done on that one. So get rid of that. And then time flies when academics take hold. That is very true. Tomorrow I get to deal with that. Funny thing, school, am I right? It's very tiring. I'll admit that. Alrighty. So the next line is, and then I saw it and brought it here. I did good too.
And then I saw it and brought it here. I did good too.
Okay. I just realized you guys probably can't hear the voices very well, can you? You know what? I'm gonna change the music. I'll do some Japanese hip-hop. You know what? No, not that one. What about this one? Mm. I'm looking at like the other music choices. I think for now we'll let this one play. You probably can't hear it very well, but it's like a soft piano. College and high school are equally tiring, but the results are worth it in the end. But no, I do not hear the voices. Yeah, I figured. It's within like the speakers thing I have on my mixer. It's like,
And then I saw it and brought it here. I did good too.
yeah, so I saw the volume kind of peak up in the mixer, so that means the desktop audio is matched up with that one. But yeah, I totally agree, they're both equally tiring, but I also agree that the result is fully worth it. Yo! Yeah, hello. Welcome to stream. Welcome to the stream. I have come to cut lines, because I have to. It is I, Whisper. I am Wolf. I really miss voicing Whisper, to be honest. So after we finish, after we finish this dub, we're doing episode 1 of TC issue 2. Finally, am I right? But I'm still waiting because we still have auditions to cast for that comic dub. Because we need a Sonic VAA for that one. But I'm really hurting for an Alisterian one. How many accents can you do? It's pretty limited. My Irish accent is not really that great because like I am a little bit Irish. It's funny because like, you know, family, I have some Irish family, but like you think I'd have the accent too, but the thing is, no, I was born in the US. So like the accent's a little bit hard to imitate. You think with Irish blood you'd sound a little bit Irish. The most I can get out of an Irish accent is a poor impression of like Jacksepticeye of going like top of the morning to your laddies type thing. My name's Jacksepticeye. It's like there's certain consonants they stress out or like pull out longer than others. So it's like my Irish accent's a little bit harder to do. Like I can barely do it. My strongest one is probably the one that everyone uses, which is British. And it's not a good British accent, by the way, because one of my friends is like, you do not sound British. You know, like when I say British, it's not the proper pronunciation of the accent. And for that one, you know, they sometimes are like, that's a very piss poor impersonation or impression of a British accent. And it's like, I can only do a little bit of a British accent. I'm not native to them, even though I have a bit of them in my blood. I'm pretty sure everybody does. But my British accent, for the most part, is used for Irish. It's more of like a light British accent. Where it's like, hello, my name is Iris. Like, it's like Tracer from, I think it's Overwatch, right? Everyone's gonna kill me because I don't remember, but it's like, cheers, love! You know. Another one I can kind of do Scottish. You know, like, that's mad right there, lad. You know, Viking talk. Pretty much of Scottish accent. If you had to change your fate, would you? Or like, he doesn't know how to flush the toilet after they've had a shite type thing accent. My Aussie is terrible. my Aussie accent, Australian accent, is pretty awful. The most I can do for an Aussie accent is like you see that tiger over there? I'm gonna go poke it with a stick, type thing. And, one of our voice actors, Drew, he can do an Aussie accent. And he was like, yeah, like, with doing the Aussie accent, it's like you have to have, like, a permanent smile on your face. Like, like, your favorite bug or something dies. And it's like, that's right, mad lad. Like, I had a bug, my pet bug back at home. It died. Type thing. And I can't do that. But, there's that one. I'd say the second easiest accent I can do is the Russian one. The one that I do for Whisper, which a lot of people do not like. Surprisingly, a lot of people do not like my Russian Whisper. It's funny because they're like, oh, like I can imagine her with a British accent. Listen, man. Do you really imagine a wolf with a British accent having a gun? Just let that sink in for a moment. Like, can you really imagine Whisper with a British accent? Like, hello, my name is Whisper. Like, I had like a slight dip in Aussie there. Oh no. But, do you see what I mean? Like, the British doesn't match up with Whisper, whereas Whisper, it's like, hello, it is I, Whisper. Like, it works, because with the Russian accent, like vodka, how Americans say vodka, put some emphasis on the V. With the Russian accent, they go vodka. They use WV. Same for, like, whisper, whisper. What other ones? Like water? Water. But, like, for the most part, this is pretty much all I have in my arsenal. Besides having the slight range of my voice. Okay, we read that one. Oh, that's a nice name. Okay, which accent is your favorite? Favorite one, I have to say, is British. It's the main one that I started to learn. I mainly got my British accent from watching all the Harry Potter movies. Always rewatching Chamber of Secrets, like, 1,000 times, I think, now, because, like, I've memorized, like, one chunk of a line in that movie. It's like, yeah, I am a, British accent, because I forget if David Radcliffe is, no, not David, Daniel Radcliffe, I'm dumb. I think he's a British actor. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But, like, for the most part, my favorite accent is British because I kind of grew up with that one. It was also where, like, my love for British accents started. Hey, love. Hello. Welcome to stream. What is it with people falling for people who have British accents? No, my cousin had a crush on a guy who was British. Okay, I'm gonna tell you my type right here, okay? Dark hair, preferably black. Brown eyes. And if they have a British accent, that's a +1, okay? That's the thing in, like, some movies and stuff, like, I don't know what it is, but, like, for the personal part, you're more attracted to the character that has an accent. Like, villains particularly have accents. That's why we're somewhat attracted to them, besides, not their appearance, but, like, the aura they give off. But yeah, like, if any of you have watched the TV show Lucifer, he has a British accent. He has black hair and dark brown eyes. Like, His actor Tom Ellis, I think, is also actually a British actor. But I absolutely love Lucifer. Tom Ellis plays him so well with like the hello there, you know, British accent, and it's like, yes, perfect. And to be honest, Lucifer was like like quote unquote inspiration for Ace as well. Like the demeanor of the atmosphere around them. What is your opinion of Eggman fanboy Dr. Starline from IDW Comics? Starline, I think, is not too bad. It'll be interesting figuring out what we're gonna do with casting Starline, what kind of voice we want to go for. Which reminds me, like, I need to make time for, to get in a call with, like, Nerd Off at some point and help him get a little bit not into the voice, but, you know, like, help him practice. Cause, there was one time, during one of our calls that I really enjoyed. Chrissy, I don't know if he ever told you this one, but, when he was practicing one of the Starline lines from, the issue where, like, Starline and Metal Sonic are fighting Sonic and Silver, where Starline goes, like, I bet you wish, you know, like, you had a turbine instead of legs, and Nerd Off, if you've ever seen, the one YouTuber that goes, like, number 15, he said, Nerd Off went, bet you wish you had a turbine instead of legs. It was amazing, like, it was funny. It was a good moment. But yeah, I need to make time, because I don't know how long or if he's been practicing, but like, I'm trying to help him kind of broaden his range of voice, because when you're a beginner voice actor, I'm still not a professional, I'm an amateur as well, but with experience and stuff, like, the first thing you need to test out is like your broad of range of voice. Like, you know, a lot of people don't imagine someone with a monotone voice like mine, Nerd Off's, or Drew's, because Drew is also monotone. You can't imagine them going from down here to like, hi, my name's Amy Rose. You know, like, going from that low to suddenly high, you know? It's like a shocker if you think about it. It's like touching a hot stove. If that makes sense. Back water. Water. Well, what do we have here? Welcome, Lulu. I love Harry Potter. My favorite one is Prisoner of Azkaban. I really loved reading the book series as well as watching the movies, but preferably I pick the movies over the books. Even though I love books, I don't fully support what the author is doing in the current year. Being transphobic, you know? Can you do Spanish? I can't. I cannot do a Spanish accent, sadly. If I did a Spanish accent, it would be an insult to those who speak Spanish. You know, the natives to that language, like, they will be insulted by me if I even attempt. You would love my ex then, Lavi, black hair and brown eyes, tall, and we are still okay friends. Sorry, that is just basically his description. No, he didn't. I am so excited for my bay. Haha. He had a competition today for Oso, so I don't think yet. Yeah. Chrissy, what's Oso? Oso is a beat map game. If you've ever seen, like, the videos or streams where people click circles to music, like, sort of like on the beat, like, it's that game where it's like, it has numbers, and the thing the white ring around it shrinks, and you have to hit it before it goes past the shrinking phase, because once it's fully shrunk, then you miss the note or beat. Yeah, what Chrissy said right there. Okay. Alright. What was the line I was working on?
And then I saw it and brought it here. I did good too.
Okay. So, with this one, it's a full sentence. So we need to bring it in a little bit closer. And I think this was like a slight hit. Yeah, like the p. It's a weird, mic issue type thing. Where, like, if you're so close to the microphone, it picks up, like, the consonants. Like, if you heard the p of the P, then it tends to get stuck in the audio as well. Oh, I can't do Spanish for the life of me. Took Spanish class in high school, managed to walk away with a B or C. I think you said it better. Thank you, Chrissy. Personally, I took French 1, and then I took the beginning of French 2, but dropped out because the teacher was trying to immerse us in the language. So, because the teacher I had for French 1, she stopped teaching as the French teacher. She ended up becoming like a teacher helper type thing, like teaching new teachers. Like a teacher's aide type thing, but not helping the kids. But she was my freshman French 1 teacher. She was amazing, by the way. We'll call her Mrs. T. She was amazing. Yeah, like an instructor. But the newer teacher that took over her job was a flight attendant for like international airlines. So they kind of get immersed with the language, like they have to learn it for the international flights. And this teacher was like on the French airlines. Like, I think going from America to France type thing. And yeah, French 2 was not fun. And I did the one thing that if I even wanted to get into a university or college meant to get like 4 years, I wouldn't be allowed in, because what I did was I dropped out of French 2. And the thing is, apparently, you have to take 2 world languages, like 2 high school years, in order to be qualified for like a university or a college to where you can get a 4-year degree. Now, me personally, I'm going for a 2-year degree for like comic art and that type thing, because I want to be like either a freelance comic artist or a comic artist for a company, because that's kind of my main passion. And it's like, because the counselors at high schools help you get required classes to their quote unquote job is supposed to help you get these specific classes in order to be qualified for a university or college. And my counselor wasn't happy with me that I dropped out of French 2. They were like, oh, you do realize, like, if you drop out of French 2, you know, like, you're not going to be able to go into, like, a 4-year college. You're not going to be able to go for, like, a university or type thing. Like, they won't accept you because you're not taking French 2, you know, like, because you have to get 2 world languages. And I was like, you know what? I'm taking that extra art credit point. You know, like, put me in photography, man. That's why I'm like, ugh. But, the funny thing is, the college that I was looking at way before this whole fiasco of sophomore year, because I am a junior now. Freshman year, like going from middle school to freshman year of high school, I immediately knew which college I wanted to go to. Like, I knew that I was going to get 2-year degree, you know, to be there, 2 years. And it's like, you know, they have required classes. They make you do chemistry, geometry, algebra 2, physics, all the stuff that you really don't want to take. But they think you haven't made up your mind. You know what I mean? For like the job you want to go to. Like, they give you classes that don't even pertain to possibly the mindset of where you want to go, you know? Which I can understand, you know, some students may not know which college they're going to, which university they're going to, or if they're going to go into a job or type thing. But like, you can't keep that in your mindset that, oh, these specific kids, you know, like everyone's the same, you know, like they don't know where they're going. Sadly to break this to you, you know, if there's any teacher or so watching, not from my school personally, but anybody, some of us actually know, you know, like, if by any chance the people that put certain, like, curriculum that they have to teach, you know, like the teachers have to teach, here's something for you to listen to, okay? Some of us students know exactly where the hell we're going to. So don't try to dictate which job we're trying to get into or which college we're trying to get into. If we want to go for that 4-year because we want to and not because your ass wants us to, then let us fucking decide, okay? Because some of us actually want a 2-year degree instead of a 4-year. Okay? Good. Okay. I'd prefer a freelance comic artist. Yeah, same here, because, like, I've actually been writing notes for Chapter 5 of TC already. I haven't even started it, but, you know, like, I want to get the information out of my noggin, you know, written down somewhere, so I'm not, like, trying to hurry and draw multiple pages, being like, I really want to get to this moment right now, you know, like, type thing. I need to, like, take it down a notch, so I have a journal where I'm going section by section. It doesn't mean page by page. It means more so, like, through the entirety of the chapter, of Chapter 5, to be like, okay, I want this to happen, I want this to happen, they're going to say this. Because yes, I have also included dialogue in my notes that I want written down, and if I want them changed, I'll change them. Because what am I? I'm the creator of TC, dude. Like, if you're the creator of something, it's easier to change the sentence structure and the dialogue of a particular scene or chapter instead of going by somebody else's standards or script, you know? That's exactly what happened to me. Had to drop algebra 2 trigonometry because I literally couldn't understand half of the stuff thrown at me. All I heard was, what the fuck, took study hall instead. Same here. Okay, same here. Instead of taking a language this year, because no thank you, I don't want to deal with the new teacher again. I took a seminar. So technically I have only, I have economics slash government. Second hour is physics, I think. Algebra 2. What's the fourth? Okay, the fourth one's my comic artist class. And then choir. And then, what's the sixth one? I think there's only 6 hours in high school, isn't there? Because those are the core classes I have. Unless I'm missing one. But like I have a seminar for like my 6th or 7th hour because I don't want to deal with any other class that I don't want to do. But community college is good too. That's where I'm going, because community college, you're not fully in debt. You're allowed to get 2 years, you know, a 2-year degree for whichever thing you're trying to work towards instead of being dignified to a specific curriculum that they want you to know, like math, physics. It's not even related to the job you want to go to, like how high school in middle school is, you know? Graduation is a big step. It is. You really do never know where you end up in life sometimes. Exactly. Like, a lot of people don't even know if they're going to college after high school, you know? I'm planning on going immediately to the community college after my 4th and final year at my high school. I'll be good old 19. Ugh. But yeah, like that, like the thing I'm trying to work towards. I don't think IDW is hiring, but like, it'd be like a dream come true, you know? And like, because even though I draw specifically Sonic right now, I can draw other things too. I mean, I drew Tana Bandicoot from Crash 4, came out the day before yesterday. So, like, it shows you I can draw other things. I can also do cartoon type stuff too. Like Ace. Ace may be a quote-unquote Sonic OC, but he's not like a Mobian, you know? Or like an Anthro snake or whatnot, you know? He's not a human. Dang it, Lovey, preach it. It's different in different high schools. Exactly. They try to teach our middle schoolers high school math. A lot of kids come in and realize it's the wrong math. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that, though. Like, it can get tiring when it comes to academics and stuff, but, you know, like, they don't think about it. Whereas, because they see it again until junior, they don't see it until junior year. I will say this. Junior year is probably the toughest year you'll go through because they didn't cram, because they didn't put a lot of stress on you sophomore year or like the entirety of your 4 years of high school. They immediately try to pack every single little thing into junior year because they think you haven't made up your mind. So they're like, you're gonna do physics, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, you're gonna do algebra 2, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do trigonometry in your 4th year. Don't even worry about that because guess what? You're gonna be compacted with a lot of core classes and maybe some, you know, extra classes. But like, it's so crazy because like, you know, in junior year, it's like a mad dash, like a bat running out of hell. You know, like, you know the saying where it's like run like a bat out of hell. Like they're trying to go super fast because they haven't pressured us sophomore year to be prepared for the overwhelming amount of homework and schoolwork, as well as information that we're supposed to acquire or understand until the next year. And it's like all in one go. And it's just, it's not comfortable in the slightest. I can say that to me personally, it was my senior year. These past few years of my high school were okay, nothing much including my senior year right now, but I got everything out of my way my sophomore and junior year. Yeah, like, the good thing about junior year is the only good thing. Okay? I mean, there's two good things, but there's really only one good thing. Is that they may compact a lot of stuff on you in that year. But the good thing is, you don't see that crap the next year. Because senior year, they tend to lay off way more. You get more choices, you get more free time. Which you have to fill up with other classes because they don't want you having any free time, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah. And the only other good thing is, personally, with my school, I don't know if anybody else has this, they offer college classes to take. Just one. You can't take 2, you can just take 1. And the one that I decided on specifically for a college class was my comic, art, and graphic novel class, okay? Because it allows us not only to get a feel, because it's not necessarily a class that's supposed to teach you how to draw. It's more so you getting the layout of like paneling, pacing, what specific things are labeled within a comic, like newspaper comics, like the 5-panel things. Whether it be a gag, which is like, you know, something funny, or something serious, or something meaningful within those 5 panels. Like, that class specifically teaches us multiple things of how to write it, not how to write a comic, but like what to specifically put in that comic, if that makes sense. They need to make up their fucking minds. They're teaching us the wrong things and trying to cram so much mixed up work in our heads. I will agree, because Algebra 2, I'm already sinking. Because they're using stuff from Algebra 1 that I don't even remember. Damn, they need to get their shit in order. They really do. Believe me, they really do. Okay, next line. I think this aw is from like when he's run over coconuts. I most likely don't agree with homework unless it's something you didn't get done in class or doing a project. Exactly! Like, the thing that I've been doing, which kept me entirely from doing any dub work in September, was trying to get a hold, schedule-wise, of how I'm gonna handle schoolwork. Because teachers don't have, they don't correlate with each other, saying like, this will be signed a specific day, like English and math on like Monday or Wednesday type thing. Instead, they have Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, Friday, because Wednesday is more of like a help day. Like, if a student needs their help, they come in and ask questions and get kind of a tutor lesson of trying to understand the material. And the thing is, like, they just need to be better about laying out their assignments. Because it can be pretty stressful to some students who have learning disabilities. I, personally, have a learning disability. ADHD is a learning disability. You know, I don't know a whole lot about ADHD or my other disorders, like my social anxiety disorder. I mean, I know a bit about my depression. But, the other one, like SID, sensitivity integration disorder, I know only a tiny fragment of it being, like, certain, like, the senses of your body are either uncomfortable with something, certain sounds, tastes, feels, that overwhelm you. Like, it's sensory overload, basically, for those who have SID. Whereas ADHD, depending on how intense it is, from like the low one where you're not hyper-spazzed, like a red squirrel. Me, I'm on that spectrum unless I get giddy, super excited, happy, like quote-unquote hyper, even though hyper tends to have a negative connotation to ADHD, because it's like belittling the person that has the disorder, because it's like, oh, you have ADHD, that means you're like hyper spaz, nah type thing. And we need to just stop belittling people who have learning disabilities. As well as treating them like everybody else, okay? Because the thing is, you know, schools and stuff, they are like, we treat everybody the same. No, okay? You don't have to lump us, the ones who have ADHD, within the same spectrum as special needs, the ones who have physical disabilities that don't allow them to understand the material or whatnot. Like, their disorders are not necessarily worse, but they're more intense to where it's harder to mull over the material and understand it. Whereas ADHD, we're like in between that. Our disorder doesn't affect us so much to where we're supposed to be plucked into the special needs category. But we shouldn't be shoved into the spectrum overall of schools being like, okay, we're gonna, like, we treat everybody the same. No, you don't do that, okay? You don't. Because at that point, if a kid suddenly fails the class, they're gonna be like, oh, it's because, like, they weren't listening and whatnot. But listen here, okay? Or they're like, oh, they're not paying attention because, oh, they were drawing or reading. Personally, I have this thing called a 504 plan. It helps, not necessarily, it's not an excuse. It's supposed to help you with the material. Help you focus and whatnot. Because a lot of these teachers don't know how to handle students who have disabilities. Like disabilities or disorders. And the thing is, they mainly only know about the anxiety and stress. Okay? They only know that. They don't know your other disorders if you have them. So if somebody's emotionally reacting to, like, how hard the curriculum is and how much homework there is, like they're physically sobbing or something, they shouldn't be treated like everybody else where it's like, oh, they're being a crybaby, they're gonna get sent down to the office. No. That is setting a poor example for those who have those types of learning disorders, because then it's placing a stigma on those people who have those disorders. Because personally, because I have a 504 plan, the main one that helps me focus is drawing. Drawing is therapeutic. It's meant to help with your stress as well as anxiety. It's very relieving. It's very stress-free. It helps you. And I cannot tell you how many times in middle school that the teachers immediately got after me if I was drawing or doodling. They thought I was distracted or not absorbing the material. And the thing is, you cannot place a stigma on a type of disorder like that, a learning disorder specifically, as them not paying attention. Because in truth, they're absorbing the information that you are teaching them and giving them differently than somebody else. With ADHD, you tend to hyperfocus, as well as you learn differently from everybody else, depending on how much your ADHD affects you, whether it be high, where you're super excited, or you can't sit still, to where you're low, and it looks like, yeah, I'm listening, but, like, I'd rather kind of tap my foot or something, And it's very, very, very upsetting, because when they place these types of stigmas on people who have learning disorders, they immediately get detentions, they get warnings, and then detentions, or they get sent down to the office because they're not quote-unquote paying attention or being disrespectful in the regard of not keeping eye contact. The thing is, those who have ADHD, any learning disability, they absorb the material differently than everybody else. Me, I have to draw in order to absorb the material. It doesn't matter what I'm drawing, whether it be like a doodle of an OC or whatnot, I am still listening. And the thing is, those who have ADHD, who have, it's not a tic, but a part of their disorder where it's hyperfocusing, that means they pick up specific or particular things that a normal person doesn't. They're observant. They pay attention more to what is being said, what the body language is giving them, that type of thing. It's not particularly face value. And it's like, I don't know how to say it, but like those who have learning disabilities like ADHD, they're more observant than a normal person who will immediately dismiss the material or act like they don't care. You know, like they'll be on their phone or something. That right there is the problem. They're not listening. Whereas you can't lump people who have learning disabilities who are drawing, reading, that type of thing, you know, like quickly glancing over a page of a book, but then immediately working on the homework. You can't lump them in with the phone crowd who are like, selfie. You just can't do that, because then it places a stigma upon that disorder, which is not good. I gotta burp. Okay. Let's see. I've had a lot of those disabilities you got. Well, not too sure about SID, ASD, ADHD, OCD, and an overabundance of social anxiety. Noise sensitivity included. Yeah, SID specifically deals with the senses, but it also can deal with sounds. Hearing is one of the senses, one of the 5 senses. Taste, touch, feel, see, and hearing. And there's something that I didn't realize that, like the Twitter ADHD community, apparently with ADHD, you have like a light sensitivity with your eyes. So like certain things affect your eyesight. I never knew that because, you know, I haven't read a lot about ADHD. The only amount of ADHD that I understand is mine. I know I don't like that so much. It's so annoying not knowing how to teach disability special needs. That's the problem. There's not exactly a whole lot of preparedness in the academic industry. I don't think it is purely negligence. It's more so a limited understanding. Exactly. Or a lack of interest in understanding them. Not only that, school nowadays don't respect creativity. All they do is just give you some paperwork, fill in the blanks, and here you go. That's it, nothing else. How did this happen? We were first talking about your lines, and now we're talking about a bunch of other things. I forgot what we were mainly doing, but I completely agree with all of this. Yeah, ADHD-wise, that's the thing with, like, learning disabilities, like ADHD. You tend to not focus on a topic for too long. Like, I can be talking about, like, oh, you know, like, I hate fruits and vegetables, and then suddenly jump to, like, my absolute love for cats, like, type thing. But yeah, like, the things with a lot of ADHD people and people in general, when they're discussing things topic-wise or whatnot, if they are really passionate about something, they tend to talk about it a little bit longer than the other topics that they've either previously or going to, you know, have previously talked about, or they're going to eventually talk about. A lot of us with disabilities tend to go on tangents. I do it in almost every conversation. I do as well. Believe me, I do. In every stream, as well as in general with any conversation I talk about. Like on Twitter, I was talking about, it had to be like a couple days ago, maybe 3 or 4, where I was talking about like the amount I put of like the disorders that characters have within their dialogue, as well as like their expressions and how they perceive a certain situation. I wonder if I can find it actually. I'd have to scroll back a little bit of ways, probably. Too bad, I'm gonna scroll back anyway, you know? Because I was talking about how, certain expressions on a character, depending on their disorder and whatnot, can sometimes be very telling within their dialogue. Even if you don't notice it right away. Yeah. Okay. So it was I know I'm completely going sideways and not cutting lines, but listen. Sometimes you gotta go on a tangent in order to eventually get back to the topic at hand, you know? So, still talking about the overall topic of disorders, the Twitter post that I made was talking about how, like, with some authors, they tend to not write disorders very well. They either don't have the disorder themselves or they didn't do enough research, because in some books you'll find that authors will treat the disorder or disability as a type of illness, which is also stigmatization, or stigmatization, whatever it's called, where they stigmatize the disorder as an illness, which it's not. It's a disorder or disability that you are born with. It can be from genetics. It can develop depending on what your mom had, you know, medication-wise. That may eventually pass down to you, which can affect the chemicals in your brain. Because that's what it is. ADHD is part of your brain. It's not necessarily your blood or your chromosomes or the germs or whatnot within your body. It's the chemical makeup in your brain. And the thing with authors who don't have these, like, specific disorders is they tend to, as I said, stigmatize it. They tend to treat it as an illness that suddenly becomes cured at the end of the book. They sometimes don't thoroughly keep it full, you know, from beginning to end. To be fair, learning disabilities are not entirely easy to understand theoretically, as each disability has some deviations between two people. Exactly, like, my ADHD is different from somebody else's. Like, on the continuous topic of, like, writing characters with disorders and stuff, Iris, you all know her? You all maybe possibly love her or hate her. She has ADHD. I believe it's this month that was ADHD Awareness Month. So I made a post where I was, like, showing the OCs that I have that have ADHD. Obviously, my Sona Audy has ADHD, because she's my Sona, so she has a lot of the characteristics and disorders that I have, as well as any other OC that I had on there. But one specific one, Iris, she has, like, on the spectrum of ADHD, how I said there's ones who have lows, and there's ones who have ADHD bad to where they need medication. Now, that bad is not a negative connotation in the sense of me saying this. It's more so their chemical compounds within their brain for their ADHD is more intense than someone with low ADHD who don't require medication. And Iris falls close to the high end of the spectrum of that ADHD line. She tends to ramble. She's very, not hyper like Tangle, but she's very optimistic. But one thing about ASD is that there is pruning phase. Yeah. Hey. Hello. Welcome to stream, BB. Hello, Drake. I love you. Okay. Said phrasing is about streamlining neutral I think you meant neutral, or it's neural. Pathways in the brain. Yeah, neural pathways in the brain. A protein in the brain that dictates this doesn't actually execute it, leaving their brains to light up more than everyone else. Yeah. Sorry when I talked to neuro. It's okay, Chrissy. But, why do you get Russian on me when I come in a stream? Well, listen, I got to be... Listen, man. It's Nikolai here. I would like shoe and milk. Jilk. You know I immediately do it, though. But, going back to the subject of disorders with characters, and how the whole subject of, like, some authors don't write people with disorders very well. as I said before, they treat it like an illness that suddenly gets cured. Lava, he makes me so happy. I'm glad, Chrissy. I'm very glad for you, man. All the time. Yes, all the time. It's every time on stream, I immediately go Russian and say, hello, welcome to stream. I'm so excited for him. Yeah. I still need to get in a call with Nerd Off at some point. I need to make time. Because I still need to help him with, I need to help him with, him testing out his range of voice. Because I know he wants to audition for Starline. He said so in the beginning. And I was like, hey, you know, like, you're gonna need some practice. Obvious. Hey, it's me, Adam Sandler. Oh, that's right. I can also do not a quote. I think is it a Brooklyn accent? I don't know. It's the New York accent. You know, that's very stereotypical. Like, hey, I'm walking here, type thing. You know, Harley Quinn type voice. I think it's a Brooklyn accent. I could be wrong. That's Russian. Sounds like Dracula from Hotel Transylvania. That's right, because Adam Sandler voiced Dracula, didn't he? Pog. Bonjour, mon ami. My French is very rusty, Chrissy, but that's good day or hello, my friend, I believe is what it's translated to. Hey, I'm walking here. My name's Harley Quinn. I'm trying to walk here. Mr. J. I didn't mean to laugh. Oh my god. New Yorker accents sound an awful lot like those 20s gangster accents, and I'm a New Yorker. So you could vouch for me. Is it a Brooklyn accent? You know, the one where it's like, I'm walking here? Isn't it a Brooklyn accent? I know it's New York, but like, isn't it like specifically Brooklyn? Possibly, okay. Cause like that's the only accent that I've kind of grabbed. Oh damn, that sounds like Harley. Harley Quinzel. I remember, I think it was it? No. It was an art stream where I had Drew and Amanda on stream where I was like, yeah, I can kind of do Harley. And Drew was like, do it then. I was like, I don't know, give me a line. Cause, and then they're like, Mr. J, and I was like, I wasn't prepared for it either. But some of that, his learning disabilities are still part of God's children. Exactly. You know, going back to the topic of disorders, I should probably rename the stream, shouldn't I, to like cutting lines / chat. There we go. You know what? We're gonna make this stream now a chill one. To where I talk. Put in, Mr. J. Yeah, we're like, Harley is like, aw, Puddin'. I cannot tell you how many times, Drake, whenever, I think I did a Brooklyn accent in one of our calls, and he was like, Harley? Harley is adorable. Yes, she is. The only thing I'd be missing is a gigantic cigar and 3-piece suit. I'd be ready for folks to look at it. Look at my nice suit. The title still looks the same. It does? Huh. Well, I mean, it still has cutting lines, but I put put /chat, you know? Honestly, if I was gay or bisexual, I'd love her forever because she deserves it. She does. She does not deserve the physical and mental abuse from Joker. But yeah, getting back to disorders. Getting back to them disorders. You know, the ones we've been talking about, where I was talking about, like, fictional characters with disorders. There was a Twitter post that I made on specifically... Okay, never mind. Wow, that had to change quickly. So you just changed the title. But there was a post that I made on Infinite's disorders, and I know I definitely need to make, like, a character analysis video of Infinite, because people requested me to do character analysis on Infinite. Which I need to do at some point. Even though, specifically, the Infinite that I tend to talk about a lot is TC Infinite, which is actually pretty much normal Infinite. Besides having, like, a depressive disorder added in there. But, basically what I said in this post was, I'll read it, why not? Because it's pretty much me just typing my thoughts out, you know? Warning, this one will, like, contain Save My Soul spoilers, but it'll also have maybe, like, small spoilers a little bit for Chapter 4's close to ending. Not really, because you guys can pretty much tell when we get to a certain point, Save My Soul and TC have to, like, cross, because in Save My Soul Chapter 1, Silver comes across Infinite and Iris, so. TC Infinite seems to be a mercenary who could become an anti-hero. Yeah, he's exactly like that. Infinite in TC issue 1 was more so the Sonic Forces Infinite. So, like, he was villain Infinite, basically. He was still kind of a mercenary because, he basically wanted power. Pretty much what he wanted when he joined up with Eggman. But I shall read this post, which, as I said, the warning as follows is it'll contain some Save My Soul spoilers for Chapter 1, but also the happenings in TC Chapter 4, where Silver comes across Iris and Infinite. Let me quickly read. Even though there's a reason why that God let us have these disabilities. Yeah, I agree. Okay, here we go with me reading. I try to be thorough when writing the characters in my stories. That includes taking note of their disorders, wants, needs, fears, and disabilities. So characters like Infinite having PTSD and a depressive disorder aren't entirely surprising. I sprinkle things in dialogue and in the expressions conveyed on characters' faces. In so many stories, authors write away disorders and such like it's an illness that magically goes away. I basically said that before. But in truth, it doesn't. Just like anxiety and depression, it doesn't go away. It is always constant, and sometimes you may see that in characters' dialogue or actions, as well as how they convey their emotions. An example I can give is from Save My Soul when Infinite reacts in anger to Silver causing harm to Iris. Because that will be coming. It's obvious. It's a second showing kind of thing. Because it does happen. The pages already exist, but I'm redrawing them for Chapter 4. He's built up a connection and a desire to protect something that's perceived as innocent. Prime example being Iris, because she's the innocent character. But seeing that thing that was completely innocent and carefree being squashed, or in this case, harmed, Infinite reacts in an aggressive way. The feeling of helplessness and feeling weak comes swooping back to when he couldn't even protect his squad, therefore resulting in him more or less lashing out, or in a frank way of saying it, losing his shit. I enjoy writing Infinite as he is in TC. You get moments where he's opening up to Iris because he feels comfortable enough to. Even though he's been taught that it's a weakness to show emotions, body language and feelings never fail to show. Even if you claim you're an emotionless soul, eventually something peeks through. It can be anger or even sadness, which Infinite doesn't show much sadness, but more so anger and contempt. Basically, it means Infinite's way of kind of protecting himself, but also something that's important to him is pretty much anger, if that makes sense. Like, he's more aggressive in his thinking process. But yeah, I'm a cat for me, wow, me woo. Are you talking about your pick in the chat, Chrissy? Interesting. Yeah, the main basis for Infinite is that he has PTSD that can be shown pretty much in Forces, even though it's pretty low and it's really hard to find. Besides, in episode Shadow, where Infinite kind of loses his shit when Shadow calls him weak. Was that your journal you were reading? No, it was a Twitter post thread that I made on my Twitter, where I had like prime examples of TC Infinite kind of having the look of shock, but more so like fear on his face. Because, with Infinite in TC, he wants to protect something, perceived as innocent, which is Iris, pretty much, because she's the innocent character. Even though Iris has seen violence. I'm just chilling. Also, I like your comics. Thank you! I really appreciate that. I mean, Infinite did lose his squad, so that has to involve some sort of minor psychotic break. Yeah. Which that still exists in TC. Cause, or PTSD. Yeah, pretty much that. In, I believe it's chapter 2, towards the end, in chapter 2, it's basically Infinite kind of relives his nightmare of, dealing with the turmoil of pre-existing abuse that he's suffered under. If you guys don't know, there's an OC character that I made specifically for Infinite's origin story named Alisterian. His real name's Adam. All of you can do the Adam Vine thing where the guy just blows some vape and he just goes and he's like, Adam! You know, upset. But, Alisterian, a rough base down of how, like, Infinite's not necessarily PTSD disorder, but, the telltale signs of Infinite's abuse, because yes, he does have abuse. It may be hard to see, okay? The only thing that hinders this impact is that we don't officially know the personalities of his squad mates, considering the Jackal squad shares a pack-like behavior. Yeah, because Jackals, similar to hyenas, live within a pack. Rip Infinite, I wish I could give him a big ol' hug. I'd give him a hug too. You know, with you being a great comic writer, you would also do good being a psychiatrist. That's going back to the whole ADHD thing where, like, I hyper-focus. So, and I'm also very observant. So I see things like normal people either don't notice right away or whatnot. I tend to be very observant. But, as I said, it's very hard for, I'm gonna retract that sentence. As I was saying with, Infinite's abuse existing. It may be hard to see, it may be hard to notice, but it is very easily shown in episode Shadow. You may ask why. And here's the thing. With some parts of abuse, they have trauma involved. You know, there's physical, mental, emotional, and I think I did not say physical, but also physical. You know, basically psychological trauma, basically, is how it is. But with Infinite's abuse, it's super hard to kind of whittle down Infinite as a character to figure out specifically what type of abuse he may have suffered. But in general, with abuse, they tend to relive moments in their life where it's triggered. Okay? It's similar with PTSD. Like, certain people have triggers to where it upsets them. Like PTSD, clinking of glasses, that's a trigger which can affect somebody with PTSD. And with Infinite specifically, it's more of a verbal trigger for him. In episode Shadow, there's the moment where Shadow basically kicks down Infinite and is like, "Don't ever show your pathetic face around me ever again," type thing. To where it's so quiet you can't hear it because the music is so loud. But with Infinite specifically, he doesn't say what Shadow called him, which was pathetic. Infinite repeatedly says, "He's calling me weak." Or like, "Me? Afraid? He's calling me weak? I'm not weak. I am not weak. I am not weak." I didn't want to yell the weak part, but that part right there, the verbal trigger, is him being called pathetic, which he immediately ties to a verbal form of abuse as him being not, I think it's belittling, but kind of degrading him in a manner where it's like, you're pathetic, you're weak, you're good for nothing, you're worthless, basically, type thing. And specifically with TC Infinite, and, you know, I'm a fan. You know, like, I don't work for Sega, no nothing. I mean, if Sega hired me to thoroughly write out Infinite's origin, as well as, like, how he may relate to some people, I would totally be like, yeah, if you give me the free will of writing him like I'd like to, then totally, yes, I would. I would grab that job, you know, I'd take it. But specifically with TC Infinite, he has suffered the verbal abuse, which is tied in with the mental. Okay? So, the mental part with the verbal is triggered if somebody says a certain particular set of words, or if it's demeaning to him. Like saying, "You're weak." Like that type of sentence. If it's specifically derived towards him, it's a trigger. The other thing that I made for Infinite in TC is that he's also suffered physical abuse. It's more of like, it's not more so violent, it's more of like mistreatment physically. It's nothing like the no word, the R word, okay? It's more so like beating the ever-living shit out of him. Which I should not laugh at, but with TC Infinite, the thing is, because the mental and verbal triggers, since they're derived towards him, what happens with him in TC is if someone mentions it, the thing with Alasterian during Infinite's training in Fallen Brethren, the origin comic that I made for Infinite, which I haven't started yet, it's on page 0 already. Alasterian will call him weak and pathetic when he's training him, you know, like physically beating up on him to like near death to train him as a mercenary. And since he's dealt with that abuse, he tends to relive it in nightmares when he's sleeping. That can be shown in DC Chapter 2, with him reliving Alasterian beating him down, giving him his scar, and him, you know, finding a squad, and then losing that squad. And coming face to face with Shadow, even though it's not Shadow, it's Ace. But, you know, Infinite's relived the same nightmare over and over again when he's asleep. It's sort of the, mindset where, like, you can't get away from it. Like, even if you go to sleep, you can't get away from it because he keeps reliving the same moments in his life over and over and over again. Every time he has his eyes open, he relives it mentally. Every time he goes to sleep, he can never escape it. He's not a lucid dreamer where he can physically move or change anything. He relives it. And it's very hard for Infinite, because, you know, he deals with all this trauma, and then he's introduced to a character that's supposed to kind of contrast him a bit. Iris is this innocent character who's kind, warming, takes care of him when he's injured in issue 1. She bandages him. She helps him. She takes him to the temple, even though she shouldn't have, because he tries to take the gem and then he betrays her. But she's still nice to him regardless of that betrayal. Like, she doesn't fully trust him still, but when they're transported to Mobius in issue 2, he's the only person she knows, pretty much. So he's like a lifeline to her. But her kindness and her innocence, even though she's lived through a traumatic event of losing her father, Chapter 3, where Aster dies, she still has a part of that kindness that she's always had. She never loses it fully. Like, overall of what we have from issue 1 up to this point in issue 2, Chapter 4, she hasn't lost that innocence. You know, she hasn't turned evil or whatnot. But she still treats Infinite with kindness, even though he hurt her. So that little bit of contrasting between a character who's lived with trauma, didn't exactly have a childhood, which was kind of taken away from him with the physical abuse and whatnot, he kind of latches on to that innocence, if that makes sense. Like, it's not necessarily he's attracted to that innocence, it's more so he wants to protect it because he wasn't allowed to have his own innocence type thing. I need to catch up with chat. I still need to catch up a little. Yeah, me too. Pathetic and weak are Infinite's trigger words to getting pissed. Yeah, with Infinite, his main thing that he tends to do, because he doesn't fully understand how to handle his trauma very well. Like, with Alasterian, or Al, he tends to, tell Infinite that showing emotion is weak. You know, like, it's weakness. It doesn't, you're not powerful, you're weak, and you're worthless if you show emotions. So, it's kind of, if you think about it, it's like the Anakin Skywalker with Palpatine thing in Star Wars, where anger is power type thing. So Infinite's only amount of emotion that he allows himself to show is pretty much anger to any situation where he's reliving a trauma type thing. I mean, like, I've suffered people calling me weak and I also have PTSD. With other YouTubers with such great talent knowing how to do a great comic, Sega, for some reason, is not very good at it because they're a bunch of lazy, slow folks. The problem is, with Sega, they tend to not fully, develop their characters. They tend to try to speed up to stay up with the generation that's currently here. They're trying to, advocate towards them. Try to get them hopped on the Sonic train, if you know what I mean. It's not that they're trying to write a good... They rush. The key to making a good character is to think out their story. Develop on the lore of the character, develop their origin, develop a storyline, little notes, little tics that they have that are specifically made for that character. It also indicates an inferiority or some superiority complex. In turn, this implies the abuse triggers a subconscious reaction, something people don't really think about when they perform it. Instinctual. Exactly, that's exactly that. That's exactly it. I have PTSD too, but PTSD is different sometimes in different cases, like with me. It's traumatic stress. I know I actually had someone... Okay. Something traumatic must have happened to you for show signs, yeah. Okay. Granted, Alisterian is trying to teach him the only way he knew how, which still isn't okay, only creating a monster that they ultimately try to sweep under the rug. Iris in turn acts as the nurturer to where Alisterian was the harsh embodiment of being mercenary. Iris is what Infinite isn't familiar with. Exactly! Exactly that, because, Alisterian more or less is a lone wolf in Infinite's origin story. Infinite is an orphan in his origin story. So he has a lack of parental figure or a role model to kind of latch onto, because with, so in a given marriage or parent-wise, the mother is always the nurturer, and the dad is always the one who, not quote-unquote punish, but more of give a harsher treatment towards the child in order for them to understand this is not the correct way to handle the situation. They tend to deal a harsher blow than the nurturer, who will try to be understanding and who will try to advocate towards the child in that given situation. They'll try to keep them comfortable. They'll try to make them stable in a way. Something for them to trust, sort of. But yeah, in Infinite's origin story, Alisterian, the thing is, with this can be tied into sort of the mindset of abuser, with some cases, those who are abused tend to become an abuser or try to force themselves not to be that type of person. And Alisterian, when he was being taught to be a mercenary, got kind of the same treatment as Infinite. But with Alisterian was a bit older than what Infinite is right now. Than when he went with Al in order to become a mercenary, like an apprentice type thing. So Infinite could succeed Alisterian. So Alisterian knows a specific way of how he was taught as a mercenary, which he subjectifies onto Infinite. Alisterian does not care that Infinite is a child. He does not care that he's 6 or 7 years old in his origin story, where, he lost his parents. He doesn't really remember them, but Alisterian basically takes up Infinite as his apprentice. And Al knows a certain way of how he himself was brought up to become a mercenary. And with Al, his training wasn't subjectified to a certain age group. It was more to particularly himself. So the harsh treatment that he dealt with, he subjects Infinite to, regardless if he's a legit child. Let's see. I can't say it here, but I relived what happened in my life many times, which is okay. It's the best you can do, Chrissy. We all want to do good, but we do what we can. It's not our mistakes that define us, it's how we handle them that matters. Exactly. Yeah, only time it will help them to develop their character. I'm good, I am just saying I'm okay. People just like to be jerks. Too much for me lol right now. Because you're okay. Gotta don't have okay. I feel Infinite's pain as a person who has suffered people physically, verbally, and mentally abusing him. I understand Infinite. That's the thing with characters. Like with Sonic, in this case. I gotta get a drink. My throat hurts. So as I was saying, with some materials, some characters and stories, the main thing that the author tries to derive or point towards is relating to the audience. That's the main thing that grips readers into relating with the character if they're dealing with similar struggles or the same struggles. If they don't relate to the given audience that they're being presented to, then the consumers, the people who are reading or who are trying to absorb the information that's given to them, aren't gonna like the subject material, they're not gonna like the overall story, or even the character themselves if they cannot relate to them. And that's an issue in some books. Like romance novels. You'll have a character who's going through struggle. For an example, I will give a book that I partially read that I could not fully finish. I was like in the middle, and then I dropped it because it was boring. And I will get a lot of hate for this one, okay? The book is called The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. And, specifically in that story, there's this human girl, I forget what her name is. The minute I dropped the book, I forgot the characters' names, but I think it started with a J. And the main girl's human, and she's the main character, okay? She's a human. We're meant to relate to her. But the thing is, her mother and stepdad, or dad, are murdered in front of her in the book by the original mate or whatever to the human wife. Because in the story, human girls are there's two different things in the story, in the overall lore or whatnot of the story. There's human women who could get with male fairies or fairies. It's spelled weirdly. Or there's female fairies or fairies. And if they're married or put together and have children, they have to stick with them until they die or whatnot. And this main character, she's a human, we're supposed to relate to her. She's brought up in this magical world, okay? As a babe, not a babe, but like 5 or 6 years old. She's raised in this world. The best way I can say this is it's like racially derogatory to her, because the fairies, I say fairies because it's spelled weirdly, so don't correct me saying it's fairies. But the fairies in the book hate the main girl. The main girl is related, I think the main character is a twin to another one, but we're supposed to relate to her, okay? This chick, okay, has no sense of being around other humans besides her sister. So we already know, okay, someone who's meant as a parental figure, not to her, but who's involved in her mom's life, kills her in cold blood. as well as her dad that she's known. She's then taken to this murderer's house and raised as his child. And then she gets racially belittled and subjected to by the fairies in the story. And we're supposed to relate to her because she's struggling with her romance life as well as killing people. Okay. We're supposed to relate to a human being raised in a magical world who has no qualities of how we're supposed to understand her. Like, her personality is feisty, short-tempered, and there's nothing likable about her at all. So I immediately dropped the book. But that's the issue with stories like that. If you don't have a character specifically presented to an audience that you want for them to relate to the character in order for them to understand the story as a whole, as well as the character themselves, the readers will never relate to the character whatsoever. They won't. Because if you present a character who is raised in a world separate to your own, a lot of people fantasize about a fantasy world or living in the fantasy world. The thing is, though, different authors present the subject material. A magical world, like The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, as well as the High Lord's world in Sarah J. Maas's Court series. There's magic in each of those worlds. But the magic world and the human world are separated. Same goes for the Cruel Prince book. And the thing is, there's no repercussions to the main character transferring over to one thing to another. Okay, so the main girl in Cruel Prince is meant to be relatable. She's the main character. We're supposed to be rooting for her, right? But the problem is, if you make a character so unlikable, so uncomfortably unrelatable to, whether it be their features, in the sense of their personality, or their actions, the readers will never relate to them, and therefore never like the character or the story that's being presented to them. And that's one of the many issues. This just turned into a supporting group, and it's pretty good. I mean, we're kind of relating to Infinite's problems in his past. Exactly. Well, I was right. Looks like your channel is slowly growing to a certain degree. There was a person that just joined your Discord about 15 minutes ago. Oh? I'm sorry, I didn't notice. Exactly, Lavi. Writers often try to establish that sympathetic link. Sometimes some writers don't go for interesting characters, rather have the spectacle take the wheel. Exactly. I mean, some of us are expressing each other a little bit, and we're talking our problems out, so that's pretty much all I have to say. Why not do a little support group video or something? You don't have to. I mean, I'm fine with talking about subjects like, disorders and kind of, how to relate to a character. Like, I don't mind doing that. Like, I'm not a professional writer. I don't have a degree or anything in it, but I've been writing since I've been in... when did I start writing my first book? It's a very terrible book, by the way. I started writing in 5th grade. I didn't fully understand the means of how to make a good story, but as I read more books and kind of started reading kind of the styles the authors were giving, I was like, I could adapt it a little bit to my style of writing. And my style of writing specifically is filled with a lot of descriptions of the scene, characters, smells, atmosphere, whatnot, setting. And the dialogue's not that great. But some dialogue is florally rich to where it's fitting. But I've been writing since I was in 5th grade. So it's been 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. It's been about 7 grades / 7 years of me writing stuff. And I only started doing comics in middle school. Cause in middle school I started thinking about how like what am I gonna do as an adult, you know? Like, what am I trying to strive for? And I was like, okay, you know, like, there's only kind of 2 good things I'm good at. It's writing and it's art. And my brain at that time couldn't connect the dots that apparently you can write a comic. You can combine those 2 things, those 2 things that you can do, art and writing, into one. And I've been doing comics ever since. TC has been going on for roughly 3 years and counting. And it's probably one of the most thoroughly thought out stories that I've made, honestly, because it's not built upon an already pre-existing thing. It's also not a made up thing. Even though there's some basis like Sonic and the Gang, Mobius, even though there's pre-existing stuff like settings and planets, specifically, I've built up more lore, more worlds, more characters, more importance to the lore from the ground up. I just got a notification. It was Zach turning in his Sonic lines. So sorry for the delay, class. Okay. I'm gonna quickly download this. I'm gonna quickly download the Sonic lines, and then I'll continue reading the chat. Okay. Where was I at? Okay. Why are they hating on the poor children? Oof, that took a dark twist. Sorry, I was gonna go, but curious. That's really... that's really took a dark twist. Be back soon, hopefully before it ends. Sounds good, Chrissy. Urban fantasy is something that must be treated delicately, kind of like how Harry Potter separates, or tries to be, for most of the part, to separate the arcane arts from modern society. Exactly! Like with, for the main basis, yeah. I wrote a romance book, Lavia. I'm shy to share it, though. Still an okay back. Welcome back. Romance books, I will say, are extremely difficult to write. I will say that. Unless you have, as I said, characters that you can relate to, it's super hard to enjoy the story as well as the characters. There's one book series. It's more of like 2 books. It's made by an adult author named Isabella Ronan. And the 2 books are called Chasing Red and Always Red. It has the basis of a college kid falling in love with another college kid. It has subjects such as drugs, intercourse, jealousy, and all the toxicity that is wrapped up in one little amazing scenario. And the good thing is, the book is separated between these 2 characters. Red, or Veronica, her name is, or Caleb, the boy character. Veronica doesn't fully understand the premise of love, in the sense of falling for Caleb. And it's difficult for her to kind of fully trust him, to give her all to him, type thing, you know? And that can be very relatable to a lot of people. Because sometimes it's hard to give your all to one person, especially if you've dealt with like a long line of being taken advantage of and whatnot. Also, it's one thing to have a side character that's a bit of a dick. Exactly. But if it's the main one, the book will not succeed to hook the readers. Exactly. Unless you have a character where unless the unless the dick character or whatnot, is the villain, who kinda contrasts with the main characters. That is the only situation when that would be good. Unless the main character is a fallout dick. It does not help the story at all. It will kind of damage it, if you will. Also, I wrote a gore story I'm still writing. Now, gore. Gore is amazing to write. With gore, specifically, you fully need to be very descriptive of the surroundings. It's hard to build up suspense in a gore story through words. There's one story that I read, oh, what's her name? I don't know her first name, but it's like Faria Stolars. She wrote the book called, what was it called? It was like Welcome to, let's see. Faria Stolars. Okay, Lori Faria Stolars. She wrote. Where is it? Does she not have it? Enter the Dark House. That's what it was called. That is a young adult horror novel. And the amount of detail and suspense that she put within that story freaked me out, okay? I had like nightmares about that book for weeks. It made me unsettled when I read it. And if you're tempted to read it, it's separated into parts, kind of like the Chasing Red series that I mentioned, where it's divided amongst, instead of two characters, a group of people that are sent to this house. It also has an amusement park attached to it, where the characters basically get sent to this house for like being a part of a film or a new book. They go to this amusement park where the rides are based on their nightmares. And I won't spoil the rest, but if you've ever read the webtoon Gremory Land, I think it's called, or Gremory Park, it's on webtoon. It's a lot like that. And if you want to read it, and if you want to be freaked out, it freaked me out. It's a very good read. Interesting, what's the premise? I don't know what you mean by that question. I think it was earlier about TC. I'll continue reading down. I love writing. I write romance books mostly, but I don't show or tell my fam because they always insult and tell my work is trash, but I still do what I love. That's the thing with stories. Do something that you enjoy, okay? It doesn't have to appease to everybody. It could appease to half of the readers, or it could appease specifically to you. Like, as long as you're enjoying yourself, as well as the story and plot, that's all that should matter. It was hard. I love Lauren Jameson and the writer of the Golden Lily Vampire Academy series. I watched the movie of that one. I never read the book. Sounds like Blush, like the story you're speaking of now. Well, it's really sort of a yandere sort of story, a little, I guess, because it's love and gore. Yeah. But I get my inspiration for movies and shows, but mostly from my friends. I mostly love the kind of romance books or movies or shows where the girl falls for the bad boy. Same. Same. Lavi, would you like to be the first to read the beginning of my story I will share on Google Drive? Yeah, I don't mind reading it. Just know that I may give helpful criticism. If you're open to that. Like, if you're open to feedback. Because this is something I don't talk about often, but during when I was going into 6th grade, so like during summer break, between 5th grade going into 6th grade, I went to a writer's camp where it didn't necessarily teach me how to write. It was more so helping me get like an overall premise of understanding how writing is handled with stories. And with the camp, when I wrote, it was primarily descriptions, not a lot of dialogue. And the thing was, the class was taught, or the camp was taught by, I think it was a university professor there who ran the camp. And they pretty much cut me down on my writing. And that was like the first look of, because they also wrote down small little notes of critique of being like, yeah, you know, like there's certain parts where you have to be a little bit more careful on the describing because it can take yourself away from the dialogue. There's nothing wrong with giving a lot of descriptions, make sure there's dialogue in there to kind of separate the describing. Also, I gotta say this, cowering and pandering to consumers isn't a good idea. You can pander to everyone, but please no one. Not even oneself. Just tell the stories you want to tell and keep an open mind toward feedback. Exactly. That's exactly that. I remember during that camp, there was one thing that I enjoyed during that camp. It was, the snack breaks. It was like at a local university in my state, and our snack breaks were like, you could sit anywhere outside, because they didn't have like a specific area where we could eat our food. So we just kind of spread out on the lawn, and I specifically would sit like near the fountain area of like the court, the main court of the university. And I sat with like 2 other people. There's only like one person I remember because they were the person I had like a small developed crush on. Who turned out to be a girl. Which I was shocked. Just saying. But that camp was super fun. Cause it taught me some stuff that helped me, I think, progress and be more well thought out with my storylines. But like, there was my story goes between characters. It's going to that statement. There the good thing with stories is if you have more than one main character, it can kind of switch up perspectives. You can still use the whole first person and third person omniscient, I think is the word. It's where like you derive to one specific character where you know their specific thoughts and feelings and like the effect it gives to the other people. Kinda. Yeah. What else? There was a recent video that I watched. I can't remember the YouTuber or the graphic novel they made. But they made a graphic novel based on a sinking town. And they were working with the author who created a script and went specifically them to do like the visuals for it. And I watched this video, I think it was 30 minutes long, where it's like they had the entire script printed out and they would separate it for like panels, basically thumbnailing the entirety of the story in little thumbnails. And I watched that video and it gave me like a big impact because I saw that certain things would be transferred, like text and wise, descriptions of like the way expressions would be on the characters, their dialogue, were within that script. And don't mind my Discord notification. It was Amanda. where it got me interested in writing kind of like chapter notes for TC. Because I saw the effect of how well thought out it was. To where, like, you kind of had like a crutch kind of where you have a kind of crutch where it helps you to have like a basis of what you want for the chapter, whether it be expressions, the way certain things are portrayed and whatnot. The sinking city sounds like Lovecraft. I don't know if it was Lovecraft, like Lovecraftian. I'd have to look for it. Maybe I have it in my... I don't think I ever saved it to, my playlist. I have a playlist called Amazing Art. Dang it. I have the... if Drake's still here, I have the video of Crash Bandicoot of Oni Plays where it's like, oh, beefaroni, thank you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't think I saved it, did I? It's kind of sad. Like, it was a video that kind of gave me like an insight on scripts and stuff. I'm gonna have to find it. What was it called? That makes me so upsetty spaghetti. Graphic novel script process. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, please. Please give me some stamps. I'm trying to find it. Graphic novel process with script. I'm trying to find it, guys. Because I want to recommend it to you guys to check out because it inspired me to kind of write out the notes for chapter 5. Oh, by the way, have you seen the video I sent you to Discords in general? I haven't seen it yet. I've been pretty much streaming this entire time. Is this it? Oh, is this it? Oh, please? Okay, that's not it. Dang it. I thought I had it, guys. Let's see. Making of a graphic novel process. I want to find it. It was so good. Maybe I should grab my Surface. Maybe my Surface will have it saved in its history. Unless I can find it. It was like, I wish my ADHD wasn't like this because, like, with ADHD stuff, I tend to forget certain things. Let's see. Graphic novel sinking city. Okay, that's a no. Maybe subscriptions? I have to go to my channel for that, I think. Because I definitely want to recommend this channel that I looked at. Channels. Subscriptions. I think it's based on people I subscribe to? Like, in the process of who I subscribe to? Okay, that's not it. was an art channel. I definitely know that. How many subscriptions am I subscribed to? I can relate. Same though. Please, for the love of God, please give me this channel I followed. Because I do remember that I, subscribed to them. It's not Drawing with Waffles. I think it was a female YouTuber. Oh, this makes me so upsetty spaghetti. I'm trying to find it. Cosmic Spectrum Art. Oh my god, is that it? Oh, please. I recognize the art style. Please let it be it. Yes, it is. Okay. Voice crack, I'm sorry. Okay. I found it. So the channel is Cosmic Spectrum Art. I will drop the link in the chat. But this is the video that I watched where it showed me storyboarding with it showed me not fully how to like storyboard, but in the process of like behind the scenes of how graphic novels are handled. Which is pretty cool, by the way. It's super awesome. You should totally check it out. And, that's mainly the video that kind of inspired me to kind of write notes for Chapter 5 for TC Issue 2. I will say I'm super excited for Chapter 5. There's some lore dumping, a lot of it in Chapter 5. Some info that's sprinkled in there that a lot of people don't know. And some things that readers may get shocked at. It's not shock value or anything. It's a part of the plot. I've been hinting at it. That's the thing with writing and stuff. A good story, and I'm not saying this being the basis, a good story tends to give you little drops of like puzzle pieces in order for you to piece together. It's kind of like that one meme where it's like this guy who has like his theories all connected with red string and he looks crazy. But it's where like they leave you little bits and pieces of the story. Or like what's gonna happen. They foreshadow. It's called foreshadowing. Where you have to take those pieces, connect them together, and figure out what's gonna happen. Now it could be that it's a part of the main storyline. You know, like the main pieces may be a part of the main storyline. Or, and this is a big or, it also involves any side story or little side pieces of literature that are connected to the main one. Am I saying there's a little bit of puzzle piecing going on in TC that readers may potentially do or might do to figure out something? But, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of puzzle pieces and mysteries with TC. That if people want to, they can piece it together and present their theories. I'll neither confirm nor deny what happens until the pages where those things happen are spread out to where you're like, yes, I was right. Or, damn it, I was no. I was wrong. Within the foreshadowing, there are bound to be red herrings. It's all a matter of spotting them. Exactly. Red herrings or red flags are always good within a story. Because you know, there's bound to be something coming. A fair example I will use is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. There's a creature in the story called the Mechanical Hound, or the Hound. The book's based in a dystopian type place where it's like set in the far future. The main character, Guy Montag, has a fear that this mechanical hound is everywhere he goes. Anywhere, anytime he's near the hound, it wakes up. Anytime that he's in close proximity to the hound, it wakes up. And Montag has this crippling paranoia that somebody has programmed the hound to go after him. And that can be foreshadowed in his paranoia. There's a specific part in chapter 1 where Montag comes home from doing his job. I'm trying to give like a rough baseline without spoiling anything. And he lays down on the bed with his wife. And he swears he can see a green glow outside his window. And he connects that green glow with the hound. And there's a part of describing where it's like, if he got up to open the window, if he only got up to open the window, and then it's like, he didn't get up to open the window. But that's the crippling fear, you see, because he sees that green luminous, and he immediately connects the green glow to the hound, because it was earlier established in the chapter that somebody, if they wanted to, if they knew his little secret, they'd program the hound to go after him. And it's good foreshadowing. It's easy to connect the dots, because with the foreshadowing, they give you little sprinkles. You know, on your little sundae. It's little bits and pieces of information that make the overall thing great. Similar if you put syrup on your ice cream. It's bits and pieces that are planted right there in front of you, that if you just piece them together a certain way, it may develop a bigger picture. What I'm saying is foreshadowing's amazing. Anyways, I think I've pretty much exhausted people with my ramblings of disorders and whatnot. I've been streaming for 2 hours. I cut about like 2 lines, which is fine. It shows a little bit of progress. But I think I'm gonna call it a night. The smallest details can create stellar pictures. Exactly. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream, where it was pretty chill, even though we did cut only 2 lines. I'm glad I could interact with all of you. But if you want to continue talking to me or whatnot, or if you're interested in TC, I believe I have the link to my DeviantArt, which contains the TC comic. I have the invite code / link in the bottom description of the stream to join my TC server. That's where I tend to post pages earlier, or we just talk about random stuff. We converse. But as always, I hope you guys have an amazing night, or morning, or afternoon. And always be cool beans, okay? Have a great day, and don't let anybody talk shit about you. Don't feel belittled by it, because guess what? You're